Thank you very much. Thank you for the invite down here. We really appreciate us having the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about what's happening here in November. And to give you a little background, this process started a couple of years ago and a couple of finance directors ago. And we went through the process of visiting with a lot of folks about what they believe are the needs of Faribault. We've also been in touch with the city, with the chamber, always keeping an eye on that 2040 visioning piece and how this can all fit into that whole product. The other really cool piece of this is about a year ago, just over a cup of coffee, Norton and I had a nice conversation about what this all means and how this can affect this community. And over a process of time, we developed this message together. So it's not an individual thing that Carrie and I just popped up and decided that we needed this levy. This has been a process for 2 years now, a purposeful process that we think is going to build a better community for Faribault. And that's the bottom line. It's great for kids, but it also has a great connection to Faribault. So November 5th is the voting day this year. You are not voting for the President of the United States. You're not voting for a senator. You're not voting for a mayor or anything like that. There's only 2 questions on the ballot, and those questions pertain to the school district. The first question that the board has asked voters to approve is to move our high school from a 6-period day to a 7-period day. And what that means is that those students will have the opportunity to take 8 more additional electives than what they have offered right now. The majority of this is geared towards the trades, exactly what Deanna and Sam were talking about. There is a huge shortage of folks going to work in those industries, and this is a great pathway for those kids to take. It also offers the opportunity for more college credit courses. We have a number of kids right now that are graduating with their AA degree and their high school diploma. This offers them even more of that variety. And then finally, for recovery, we have a lot of students that if they don't do well their first year or second year of high school, it's really, really difficult for them to make up those credits and recover those. So there's an opportunity for those kids to make those credits up and then also graduate on time. So question number 1 deals with moving from a 6-period day at the high school to a 7-period day. Question number 2 primarily focuses on transportation. Again, we really believe that if we can get kids to school, they have a better opportunity to learn, and they also have a better chance of graduating. Pretty logical, right? Last year, I had a lot of calls from a lot of parents that live above the viaduct over by the Quick Trip area with those houses. They're about 1.95 miles away from the high school. And when the weather is bad, they call me up and say, can we get a ride on the bus? And I say, no, you can't, because our policy says that you live within 2 miles of the high school, so your high school student has to walk to school. Meanwhile, their 5th grader and 7th grader can hop on the bus. We also know that we have families, and Carrie may talk about this too, that really benefit from the transportation, not because of the weather, but because they just, for some sort of reason, they cannot make it to school. So we really believe that the 170 students that would actually opt for transportation, we can get them to school, and then we can increase our graduation and increase our scores in our tests. So it's all relative. The first question number 1, the tax impact is $65 a year on an average house in our Faribault community. Average house the county has given us is about $175,000. The second question is $34 a year for an average house in Faribault. We did a survey a year ago. We asked folks what their tolerance was for a tax impact, and they say if you stay under $100, then you have a good chance of passing. And so the 2 questions together, if they both pass, is $99 a year. The average house, like I said, is $175,000. That's the home. If you're looking at farm and agriculture, that is only taxed on the 1 acre, and the house and the garage that it sits on is not taxed on the entire area. Those are bond issues, bonds for buildings. We're not doing a building. It's not bricks and mortar. This is an operating levy for learning, okay? So those are the 2 questions. First question, 7-period day. Second question is for transportation. There's also some academic support in that second question, but those are the 2 big messages we're trying to really send out, because that will improve our school district and will improve how it affects kids. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carrie. She's got to run to another one here pretty soon, so I'm going to let her put her 2 cents in work.
So the story I just heard you tell us about our city and our economic development resonates so strongly with the story that I could stand here and tell you about our school district. There is so much more going on within our school district than anyone actually knows. It is a fantastic institution doing fabulous things with limited resources. And I couldn't help but think, as you were going on and on about all the things that we have that most people don't even realize we have here in terms of business. There are so many things that people do not even know are going on in our school system. And that is a wonderful situation because we are doing dynamic things already with limited resources. With regard to the 7-period day, again, it aligns perfectly with your story. We have heard from our manufacturing community that they cannot find workforce-ready kids. We have heard from our smaller companies that they can't find kids that want to be trained or are even willing to come in and be introduced to what is happening here in our manufacturing community. We know that our kids need a certain amount of credits to graduate. In a 6-period day, it is very difficult to hang on to what we regard as electives and meet all the state requirements. My kids who have gone to college had to take 3 years of summer school just to hang on to their electives, their music and their language in order to maintain and manage all of their requirements. So with a 7-period day, that would change immensely. The kids would have the opportunity to take 8 additional semester classes in their 4-year experience at our high school, which is really, really amazing. So our college kids, that would set them up for success and being competitive when applying to different schools. But we all know that not every child wants to go to college, should go to college, or is interested in going to college. We need those kids to be workforce ready. We need those kids to be introduced to our trades and our trade schools prior to graduation. And that is what the 7-period day will do for those kids. So really what I like to think about this 7-period day in this levy is that it's going to meet all children where they are with their intrinsic interests and values and propel them up to an elevated level. And I think we as a public institution can't do anything better than just that. So our transportation kind of speaks for itself. We live in Minnesota, people. Kids shouldn't be walking 2 miles to and from school, particularly when we have a free and reduced lunch rate of 60 to 70%. It's just not okay. They have obstacles in their lives. They don't need to have transportation as one of their obstacles to be successful in school. So that kind of speaks for itself. Even though my dad will tell you that he walked up and down hill against, 40-mile-an-hour winds all of his life, we can do better for our kids. So I think it's a levy that speaks for itself. If you can read about it and understand it, it aligns perfectly with our city's vision and what you're doing with all of this great manufacturing industry, and I'm just super excited about it.
We do. So the absentee vote is on right now through November 1st. They're located at the district office. Kathy, my secretary, is running that portion of it. So if you've already registered to vote, all you have to do is go up there, get an absentee ballot, and then fill it out and send it back in. It's very, very simple. So go up, you guys know where the district office is? It's up by the middle school now on that south side. Just go up there and she'd be more than happy to accommodate for you. Yeah, I would encourage you, if you're leaving, fill out your absentee ballots. Get them in. One of the things that we're looking at too for the voting, their strategy is to get people to vote. It's an off election year, so it's really, really hard sometimes to have people come up and vote. So if you know some folks, encourage them to get to the voting places. There's 4 different places. That's the only one at the school is absentee. Washington Elementary School is one. The FFA building down at the fairgrounds. Our Savior's Lutheran Church, and there's one other one. I don't remember right offhand. But if you look at MinGov, that site, that'll tell you exactly where that is, or call Kathy and she can tell you where you vote to, based on where you live.